So one thing that I want to talk about today has been on my mind for a minute is, that age-old lie given to humanity, and you will be like God. And I think well, most of us know that lie still infects the church today, and it's something that I've hit on in past videos, that I believe wholeheartedly that oftentimes, not always, oftentimes when we beat each other over the head with, our preferred Bible translation and our preferred theological angle, and, arguing over the age of the universe and tithing and baptism and all those sorts of things, I think that at least, there's a sliver of that lie. I think that's how that lie has manifested itself in the church, is when we take these things, when we operate in pride, right? When we start to operate in ego, I think it's just another way that, we may not realize it, and it might sound almost grandiose to say this, getting into a cult-like mentality, or at least, trapping ourselves in our own personal made echo chambers, and checking off those boxes, the way the Pharisees did. I do think that that's somewhat of a manifestation of you will be like God. Because at least eventually, I think what happens is if we leave this attitude unchecked, I believe that what happens is we start to play God in each other's lives, right? I mean, that's as simple as I can put it. We start to play God in each other's lives. And again, I've said this in past videos, yes, we do need to hold each other accountable. Yes, we need to call out bad theology. Yes, we need to be sensitive to sin. Absolutely. We need to do so with a lot of discernment, right? And I think we should err on the side of caution, right? Not be so quick to attack somebody, because I don't like your Bible, I don't like your theological angle, I don't like your position on something. Because again, and I've talked about this in past videos, again, we're all a work in progress. We're not all at the same point. It's very nuanced. And I think that if we side, if we put in some humility, right, if we humble ourselves, be patient with ourselves and others, if we be kind to ourselves and others, and just try to understand where people are coming from, right, that, there is no perfect church, there's no perfect Christian. I mean, I almost hate to say that. I mean, I feel like I should go without saying, because at the end of the day, like, who am I? Who are any of us, right? I mean, frankly, where do I get off? Where do you get off? Again, I think it's, like I said, that I think that we're still infected with this virus of, and you will be like God, right? Know the difference between good and evil, and then we want to sort of self-appoint, right? Make ourselves a judge, right, of what Bible is best for somebody, what theological angle is best for somebody, what church or what denomination, and fill in the blank. Sometimes I don't even know sometimes I gotta be on the other side of something to know, right? A lot of times these things require hindsight, and really at the end of the day, look, are we going to criticize each other, or are we going to encourage each other? Have patience with one another, I can learn from you, you can learn from me. Again, be willing to disagree without being disagreeable. So, it's something to think about. I do though. I think that lie, and you will be like God, it's slick, it's cunning, right? And it's slithered its way into the church, and has really, well, into, you could say in a broad sense, into all of humanity, especially though in the church. I mean, we don't think that the forces of darkness haven't infiltrated the church. Absolutely they have. I mean, look at Judas Iscariot. Perfect example. So, I know that I've been guilty of it. I've seen it out of that, when I start to think myself, because here's the thing. If I think my Bible's better than yours, and my theological angle's better than yours, and my denomination, and I know better than you here, then by definition I think I'm a better Christian. Well, I'm a superior Christian to you. No, I'm not. You know, we're all a work in progress. Nobody's going to do it perfectly. You know, I think it helps to, you know, really sometimes I need to break myself down, right? In a loving way. Or should I say examine myself. Put myself under the microscope sometimes. You know, do I think if I'm gonna, you know, make myself, you know, judge, jury, and executioner in another Christian's life, I mean, do I think, you know, do I somehow think that I have it all figured out? I don't. Right? In fact, quite the opposite. Like humility. If I'm really practicing humility in the moment, then I'm going to be open-minded, I'm going to be flexible, I'm going to be teachable, you know. Fill in the blank. I mean, you know, we could go on and on about this for days. And you will be like God. We can still fall into that trap. And, you know, let's hold each other accountable in that way, but let's do it the right way, you know, and be careful not to put each other on a chopping block. So I hope that helps. It's something I've been thinking about. God bless.